Hello everyone, welcome back to Auto Anorak, and today we are going to be talking about daily driven exotics, and we're going to be going through their entire car collection currently. Now, what I was going to do was go through every single car that they've ever owned. However, their car collection right now is so unbelievably large that we may as well just do what they have now. And then if you want to know all of the rest of the cars that they own, you can go back and watch my previous video that I made last year. Let's get into it then, an in-depth showcase of all of the cars that Daily Driven Exotics currently own. The first car that we're going to talk about is one that you'll all be very familiar with because it's the most recent car added to the collection, Dave's brand new McLaren 675 LT. Now this car is finished in probably my favorite McLaren color ever, Volcano Yellow, which is almost like a triple layer yellow from McLaren. The paint finish on a triple layer sort of paint is just incredible. You guys will know that I loved Strabman's pink paint job on his Aventador, and this is kind of like the yellow equivalent. Not quite as spectacular, but close enough. This 675 LT is incredibly fitting for Dave, as the first ever supercar that he ever drove was the 650S Spider, and this is kind of like the ultimate version of that. So it's the ultimate version of the car that made him fall in love with supercars. These are extremely rare cars, only 500 were ever made, which makes it just as rare as the McLaren Senna, and I'm interested to see how much DDE like this car in comparison to their 720S, because obviously they are the two McLarens currently on the channel, and these cars, if you're curious, go for in and around $300,000. Next, we may as well go from one beautiful yellow car to another beautiful yellow car, also owned by Dave, of course, the Lamborghini Gallardo Squadra Corsa. This is 10 times rarer than the McLaren 675 LT. Just 50 of these were ever produced, all produced in different colors for different continents. I know, of course, that for America it was finished in this beautiful yellow paint job. This was the final edition of the Gallardo, the last hurrah. This car was essentially Dave's first supercar because, yes, he did have an R8, and those have supercar looks, but they're not exactly fast. And then he also had a manual Gallardo, which I love. I love manual Gallardos, dream car of mine, but it was crashed almost instantly. So this is the first proper supercar that he really got to experience. And of course, he had a VF engineering supercharger on this thing that brought it up to 800 horsepower. Blisteringly fast machine. And these cars are priced as high as $350,000, even more expensive than the McLaren, although I'd say this may be around $250,000 just because it's such a mileage sensitive car. Then we go on to one of the craziest builds that DDE have done. Not the craziest, but very much up there. Their McLaren 720S GTR. This is the most recent build by them, and it's got some amazing features on it. Obviously, this car was actually painted in the Lark theme, just like the McLaren P1 GTR and the F1 GTR. It's the only 720S in the world with that P1 GTR style rear wing. Looks beautiful. It's got that kind of boomerang shape at the bottom. And of course, one of my favorite features in this car, the central exhausts. They have been integrated seamlessly. You can't even tell that the exhausts have been placed somewhere different. It looks OEM, and it's got that beautiful brushed gold finish, just like the P1 GTR. I personally love it. This, although isn't the most aggressive 720S in the world, because I think that 1016 Industries have come out with this incredible kit. But anyway, the Vorsteiner kit is beautiful. It does have a lot of presence, and another feature of this car, which you wouldn't think would work in this, are the body covered headlight surrounds. Usually these look incredible in the carbon, and I wouldn't have thought I'd have it any other way, but it honestly looks great, and everyone in the unveil video for that car agreed. Stunning, stunning machine. Additionally, the interior has those stunning Senna seats. These are amazing seats. They look like they're not comfortable, but I've talked to 600 LT owners with them, and they've said, yeah, they're actually not that bad at all. It's also got an incredibly rare MSO roll cage in the back, and this car is making about 850 horsepower with the potential to go all the way up to that magical 1000 horsepower number. Cost, 720Ss are about 200,000, although this car could easily have $100,000 in mods. So what, in and around $300,000? And now we enter the JDM space. There's been a whole fiasco around the JDM space, and yeah, let's talk about the cars that DDE have within that space. Number one, of course, the famous one, the Nissan R34 GTR. It's the almighty Skyline. It's the car that you guys can't get in America, unfortunately, but they can get in Canada, because I think they have a 15-year rule opposed to America's 25-year rule. This is a stunning R34 GTR. Personally, I am an R32 GTR guy. Nevertheless, as far as R34s go, with the Nismo wheels and those just absolutely amazing looking Z-tune front fenders with the extra sort of cutouts at the end. Those are my favorite fenders on R34s by far. This is just about perfect, and this could put me over the edge of preferring this car over an R32, but we'll not go there for now. It's finished in Bayside Blue, and yes, you are looking at upwards of $200,000 for one of these things. Next is a much less expensive GTR, but a much faster GTR. The R35 GTR. It's been owned by just about every single YouTuber under the sun, but that doesn't stop it from being an incredible car, and of course one of the best cars for tuning up to stupid amounts of horsepower. I'm gonna guess about 1200 horsepower, and it could be the perfect competitor for Stradman's Bug Killa GTR. I am praying that they do some sort of race like that. Then we have the third tire slaying Ferrari on the channel, and the successor to the original tire slayer, the Ferrari 458 Liberty Walk. Of course, this is the Ferrari 488 Liberty Walk. I can't wait for them to finish this build. I think they've already started the cutting process. I think they already have started that anxiety-inducing fender cutting process, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this build come to fruition. Of course, even before they started doing the Liberty Walk kit, they did have a roof box on this thing, rally lights on the front, and a full camo wrap. They called this their winter beater, and yeah, they must have been aware of the magnitude of a flex that is, having a Ferrari 488 as a winter beater. These cars go for about $250,000, although the whole Liberty Walk kit is likely to cost in and around $50,000, so this is another $300,000 car. The next car shows just how far Daily Driven Exotics has come in the last few years. This is Damon's daughter's Lamborghini Gallardo LP560-4. What? Like, this is just another level of YouTube absurdity. Of course, the SEO, the clickbait that you're gonna get from having my daughter driving a Lamborghini in your titles is going to be insane, because yeah, no one's ever seen anything like this before. It's finished in the same color that Top Gear did for their old person's car. I get that it's a trendy color. I don't like the color. I think it looks kind of terrible. I totally get the vibe that they're going for though. And these cars go for in and around $150,000. And here we have a car that I could never have guessed would be on the channel when I watched DDE, when they only had about 50,000 subscribers, the Porsche Carrera GT. It's got the 5.7 litre V10, it's got the manual gearbox, rear wheel drive, mid-engine. This is the perfect Porsche. Definitely from my point of view, the best sounding car that Porsche have ever made. Damon has straight pipe to this thing, which sounds amazing, a godly sound out of this thing. It's got new wheels, which do look very good. He wanted to do them in gold, which I think would look nice, and then he's looking to do a limited edition PTS paint, and by limited edition, he wants to repaint this car in a color that no Carrera GT has ever been painted in before, and he's definitely going to trigger the Porsche enthusiast with this. In fact, I believe he already has with some of the pulls that he's done, so it's going to be an interesting thing to watch unfold. Nevertheless, wow. This is the first $1 million car on the channel. $1 million, 7 figures. This is getting nuts. And now from the most expensive car on the channel to potentially the craziest build that Daily Driven Exotics have ever done. Right after DDE sold the Tire Slayer, they moved straight onto a brand new Huracan Evo, and before we knew it, the roof was lopped off. This resulted in the Lamborghini Huracan Evo Aperta with 800 horsepower thanks to a V8 engineering supercharger, the brightest color on a car known to man. This is like a tennis ball color that has just been engulfed in nuclear energy. Incredible stuff on this thing. It's lowered, it's got some lovely Vorsteiner wheels, I believe. And this car mimics a lot of the trends and is inspired by cars like the SP2 Monza, the McLaren Elva that we talked about in the other day's video. And I'm gonna guess that this car is in and around $300,000 in its current condition. If you can get someone to buy an Aperta, but I'm sure there are a couple millionaires watching DDE that would happily take that car off their hands. Then we've got another one of the more recent cars on the channel, Dave's. I think this actually is Dave's car. 911 GT3RS. This is one of the other very first supercars, if you can call a GT3RS a supercar, that Dave drove back in the day. Big wing, 9,000 RPM, Porsches explain themselves, they are beautiful machines, $200,000 for this one. And then we have not just any Lamborghini Murcielago, but a Lamborghini Murcielago LP640 with that elusive manual transmission. This car is a godsend, one of around 30 cars in the US. It has an SV style body kit, which actually does look pretty good. I think it's a full carbon fiber body kit. The original owner did try and make this thing an SV replica, but luckily David said no to that and changed it. This has always appeared to be the biggest pain on the channel to maintain, to manage. I think it had a whole engine overhaul. It may have even had a clutch overhaul. This car was called the Clutch Slayer for many months, even though it never had any clutch issues, but I'm sure it has by now. This is my personal favorite car in the collection, and manual Murcielagos are now going for upwards of $700,000. Whether or not this one will, I don't know, because of its originality and the amount of miles and hooding that have been done in it. But rest assured, he's probably made money in this car, even with the hooding included. And next, if the Aperta was the craziest car that DDE have ever made, then the Ferrari F12 twin turbo is either the second or it matches, because this could be pretty crazy too. This is the only V12 Ferrari in the DDE fleet. Of course, they had to make it twin turbo, with Aaron Kaufman doing the build on this, which is something that really breaks new bounds for builds in automotive YouTube, kind of crossing over with those huge TV personalities and, of course, YouTubers like DDE. The Ferrari F12 twin turbo build has been especially difficult just because of the packaging. There's really not that much space within the engine bay because, of course, the V12 is kind of big. I think it's a 6.2 litre engine. They've had to fabricate all sorts of new components for this thing, but wow man, seeing this car fly past with those twin turbo snails fluttering away is going to be an experience like no other to watch on automotive YouTube. Very excited for this one. The Ferrari F12s go for around $200,000 these days, and the build must be getting close to, if not deep into, the three figures just for the twin turbos on the car. Then we get to the 4x4s on the channel. Dave and Damon both bought G63s, the previous gen G63s, just because, I guess. It was going into winter and they were forced to live in Canada, so I guess that's what you do when you're rich YouTubers. We don't see Damon's one that much. It's matte black. It's got a stunning exhaust system. I think it might be FI on both of the cars. But we don't see Damon's that much because his wife drives around in it. And we don't see Dave's because he crashed it into a fence just before he sold it. Oh! Oh! I'm pretty sure that car must have got sold in the end. But yeah, well done Dave. Brought back the saying too nice for Dave, so well done on that one. In terms of the other off-roaders on the channel, I certainly haven't seen their black Hummer H1 in a while. I don't think they have that. And then the one that was in that kind of cream tan color is actually getting a full overhaul, and it's getting a very similar highlighter yellow greeny color to the Huracan Aperta. It's getting a full black diamond stitch interior to match that paint, because obviously the kind of tan color wouldn't fit against the highlighter green. It's got stunning wheels. The wheels actually look kind of similar to the brand new Hummer H1. And then it might have even got the Duramax. I'm not sure. You guys will have to let me know on that one, because I tried looking up to see if they had put the Duramax in it and I couldn't find any information. So let me know if they did. G63s can't be any more than 100,000 these days. And that Hummer, I mean, that car could be well over $100,000. And indeed, Daily Driven Exotics would not be the ambassadors for Lamborghini on YouTube if it weren't for the Lamborghini Huracan that Dave owns. This is yet again another Huracan, another V10 Lambo on the channel. So yeah, the V10s definitely seem to be the favorite and most popular cars on the channel. This is said to be the fastest car that DDE own. They said that they might even build it up to 2,000 horsepower. I don't know how much I believe that, but even if this car only has 1,200 horsepower, it's going to be an absolute beast. The fastest car that Daily Driven Exotics have ever had on the channel. And Huracans these days cost about $200,000, but if they end up doing a 2,000 horsepower build, that could be an extra $200,000 added onto it, making it a $400,000 car. And finally, the best car in the fleet, undoubtedly, the Honda Civic that Damon bought his other daughter. Yes, of course, this is the cheapest car on the channel, but it doesn't stop it from being an amazing first car. And what's more, it shows the variety in the DDE fleet, all the way from a Honda Civic entry-level car to a Porsche Carrera GT worth $1 million. And there we go, certainly one of the maddest supercar collections in all of not only automotive YouTube, but the world as a whole. I can't wait to see all of these crazy builds come to fruition and see the current builds get used, like the 720S GTR. It's just going to be an amazing experience. Can't wait till they get back to LA to get some of that nostalgia back from DDE racing around the streets of LA in their cars. But other than that, guys, the video is over. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy videos like this, please don't forget to subscribe. I would really appreciate to have you all on the channel. And yeah, have a great day, everybody. I will see you in the next video.